This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Today I would like to explain one more new topic, that is the last topic of second unit, microprocessors and microcontrollers. That is called 8051 real-time controlling. Right, we know that what is real-time controlling. Real-time controlling means how to operate different devices within the specific time period before the other time or other task is to be executed. It's called real-time, and how to control it. Okay. Right. So real-time controlling in the syllabus, they are giving these topics: programming timer interrupts, programming 8051 timers and counters, programming external hardware interrupts, programming the serial communication interrupts. Right. So this topic is mainly related to interrupts. So what is an interrupt? Interrupt is a subprogram execution uh, and currently stopping the or halting the main program execution is called interrupt and interrupt execution. And here I want to show you here how to generate the timing pulses. Right, real time control means how. Here I want to show you one program on Keil, using Keil software. So this is the environment of the Keil software. So here execution steps or procedure is there. So first we have to create the source file. This is the source file. Already I have written the program and I have pasted it. And now I am saving the program with .asm. Right. So now we have, after writing the code, we have to check for the errors. That is called build target. So here it shows that this is called console window. Here it shows that no errors and no warnings because the program has written properly. Right. Then we have to link the program. That is called creation of object files, and linking these object files is called linking the files. Then we have to go for the uh, logic analyzer, debug and logic analyzer. Here you can see the window output. So here we have to set the which port you want to generate the square wave. Right, because the square wave generation here is nothing but how to generate the timing pulses either outside or inside of the 8051. Here it shows that. Right. So now I am generating using port 1. Only one waveform I am generating, so I have taken only one port. See here, this is called as the generation of square wave. Right. So here you see, here you can see that different timing pulses. Now this is the block diagram. So in this block diagram, if you want to operate internal, right, internal circuitry, or you want to generate the external coming pulses, that will be explained by this timing pulses. And here int 0, int 1, tf0, tf1, ti by ri or ri by ti is called as interrupts. 8051 interrupts. This is called as interrupt control. So by using these interrupts, so how can you operate simultaneously these internal blocks or external coming pulses or external coming circuit operations is nothing but a real-time controlling. Right. So these are the different interrupts we are having. External interrupt INT 0, external interrupt 1 INT 1, timer interrupt 0 TF0, timer interrupt 1 TF1, serial communication interrupts TI and RI. Right, these are the different interrupts. That is the syllabus you can see here. Right, you can see here that the syllabus programming timer interrupts, programming timers and counters, programming external hardware interrupts, programming the serial communication interrupts. So here, what are the interrupts I am giving here? List of the interrupts, right? External interrupt 0, timer interrupt 0, external interrupt 1, timer interrupt 1, and serial communication interrupts, transmit interrupt and receive interrupt. TI and RI stands for transmit interrupt and receive interrupt. These are the interrupts of 8051. By using this, how can you operate serial communication ports or IO ports or timers and counters of your 8051? Or if you are receiving any signal from the external world, then how can you operate that externally connected devices using two external interrupts of pin diagram INT0 and INT1? Right, so here 8051 real-time control means explanation of timer or counter or interrupts and serial communication registers is called as 8051 real-time control. Right, so timer or counter means here we have to talk about three registers, T0 and T1, T-mod, T-con. Means by explanation of these three registers is called as explanation of timers and counters. Serial communication means explanation of S-con register, explanation of P-con register, explanation of S-buffer register is called as serial communication registers. Interrupt controlling means IE and IP. How to operate this timer or counter or serial communication with the help of interrupt is nothing but there are two registers IE and IP. Right? This concept I was already given in the address, sorry, memory and registers. What are the registers are there in 8051? There I was explaining only what are the registers available, but here we will see in detail what is this T0, T1, T-mod, T-con, S-con, P-con, and again, right? So timers or counters are nothing but in detail T0 and T1 comma T-mod comma T1. So here you can say that 8051 internally is having two registers related to timers T0 and T1. Okay. What are the uses of timers and counters? Timers and counters are used to count internal timing pulses, periodic event timing, time base for measurements, event counting, baud rate generation. So these are the different uses of advantage of timers and counters. You see, it count internal timing, internal timing pulses, periodic event timing, time base for measurements. Event monitoring means externally if there is any event occurring, then that will be counted. Then based on this analysis, right? So here we have timers and counter concept. Otherwise, both are same. Both will count the timing pulses only. But where is the difference between timer and counter? The register incremented for every machine cycle. Right here, the register is incremented considering 1 to 0 transition. If there is a transition from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, that is called as the counter. Here, the register is incremented for every machine cycle. That is called timer. Now, a timer uses the frequency of internal clock and generates whereas a counter uses an external signal to count the pulses. If the signal is coming from the external world, that will count the counter circuit. If the signal is generated to the time, otherwise both are to count the timing pulses only. Timer is used to, right? Timer is used to see here in the timer mode, the internal machine cycles are counted. So this register is incremented in each machine cycle. So when the clock frequency is 12 megahertz, then the timer is incremented in each millisecond. In this mode, it ignores the external timer input pin. Right. So in counter mode, the external events are counted. In this mode, the timer register is incremented for each 1 to 0 transition of the external input pin. This type of transition is treated as events. Right, so this event accounting is called as timer. You see here, this is port 3 is called as the special function register port, and in this, right, in this we are having RXT, TXT, INT0, INT1, T0 and T1. So this P3.4 and P3.5 are used to count the timing pulses which are coming from the external devices. right? Otherwise, it has internally T0 and T1 once again, that is used to count the internal timing pulses. Okay. Right. So this is the circuit diagram for timers and counters, and this is the crystal oscillator frequency that we can see here. So this is the crystal oscillator frequency. If this crystal oscillator frequency here, right? So you see here, this is the oscillator. If this crystal frequency, which is available on the chip itself, is 11.0592 or 12 megahertz, right? That is the crystal oscillator frequency is divided by 12. We know that because the one mission cycle is equal to 12 clock pulses, that's why it is divided by 12 to get 1 microsecond or 1 megahertz of frequency. Right. Instead of that, if the signal is coming from the external world, can you say that what is the frequency of the device? Because only one device cannot be connected. 8051 is not designed for only for one application. So different applications will run at different speeds of operation or different frequencies. Then here we use this switch will be connected here. If it is a constant frequency of available 11.0592 or 12 megahertz, then it will take the signal frequency from here. Otherwise, it will take signal frequency from this point. So that's why here we are taking the switch from C by T bar either connected to here or connected to here. So C by T bar equal to 0, the frequency will come from this point. If C by T bar is 1, then the signal frequency will coming from the external world. Okay, so then here this TR means timer to run, right? In TCON register, that we will see what is this TR. And here once again we are having one more switch. The switch is connected by one AND gate. So what is the output of the AND gate? If both the inputs are high, then only it can generate the 1. Otherwise, if any one is 0, then it generates 0. If it is 1, if the output of AND gate is 1, then the timer will run. If the AND gate output is 0, then timer will be stopped. Okay, so then how this AND gate will be controlled? This AND gate will be controlled by 2 bits, right? These 2 bits are connected to one OR gate. What is the output of OR gate? If both are 0, then output will be 0. Otherwise, if anyone, either gate bit or interrupt bit, INT 0 by INT 1 means external interrupt, either INT 0 or INT 1. If anyone is 0 or 1, or gate bit is 0 or 1, then it can generate the output as 1, and any one timer either T0 or T1 must be 1. Then if both are 1, then only the signal can be timer 1 can be run, otherwise timer 1 will be 0, and that goes to timer overflow register point. Then that overflow will be set to the required values, and again reset to or overflow to reset to 000 or initial value. That is the timer or counter operation diagram. And so you know that there are two timers, timer 0 or timer 1. So this timer 0 or timer 1 are 16-bit timers, but internally it has right lower byte and higher byte. So TL0 stands for timer 0, TH0 stands for timer 0. So TL0 is timer 0 lower byte, TH0 is timer 0 higher byte. TL1 is timer 1 higher byte, TH1 is timer 1 higher byte. So here 0 to 7 means 1 byte, 0 to 7 means 1 byte. Now suppose if I have an instruction move TL0 comma hash 01, as we have seen in the addressing modes, hash indicates okay immediate data value. It means this 01 immediately goes into the TL0 register. Now what happens? Right, you see here higher byte is all zeros, whereas lower byte is 000 is 0, 0001 is 1. 01H means hexadecimal. Means each hexadecimal value is equal to 4 bits. Right, so this is the pin diagram of 8051 microcontroller. Right. So 8051 is having two timers and counters, timer or counter 0, timer or counter 1. So they can be used as the timer can be used as a time delay generator, or the clock source is the internal crystal frequency of the 8051, or it can be used to count the event of the external event pulses. So external input from input pin to count the number of events on registers, and these clock pulses these clock pulses represent the number of people passing through an entrance, or the number of wheel rotations, or any other event that can be converted to pulses. Right. As we know that according to digital electronics, right, the counters will be designed by using flip-flops only. And here, this is one of circuit diagram which as a counter state has 4 flip-flops, so it is a 4-bit counter circuit as diagram. So it can count 4 zeros to 4 ones and give timer set the each way of registers and start the timer, and then the 8051 counts up input from internal system clock, that is machine cycle, when the register equal to 0, and the 8051 sets a bit to denote time out. Okay, what is a counter? Count the number of events, shows the number of events on registers. External input from T0 input pin P3.4 per counter 0. External input from timer 1 input pin P3.5 for counter 1. External input from TX input pin. We use TX to denote T0 or T1. Okay, X may be 0 or 1. Here you can see that P3.4 of your pin diagram. Right. So there are two registers after T0 and T1, T-mod register and T-con register. T-mod register stands for timer mode register. Okay, it has 8 bits, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bits. So this is the first bit, 0 bit, and this is the 7th bit. So total 8 bits. So here the first 4 bits and next 4 bits are same, because first 4 bits to operate timer 0 modes and next 4 bits to operate timer 1 modes. Okay, and the timer 0 modes, how to select timer 0 modes? Here we are having M0 bit and M1 bit, and here also M0 bit and M1 bit. So this M0 and M1 bits are used to denote the timer 0 and the timer 1 modes of operation, but timer itself cannot operate, and this timer and timer 0 and timer 1 can be operate either in timer mode or either in counting modes. That will be set and reset by the bit C by T bar bit. And the gate bit, this is the control bit here to control the either this timer or counter to stop or run. Okay, that is what we call the gate bit. So set the lower 4 bits for timer 0 and set the upper 4 bits for timer 1. These are called as the upper 4 bits. Initially these 4 bits are 000. According to our use, or then these bits will be set and reset. That is what we call the programming timers. Okay, in the syllabus we have seen that programming timers are counters. You are programming timers are counter using interrupts. Okay, and setting and resetting of these bits is called as timers. Right, now see, once again I am giving one more way of this T-mode register. T-mode register means how to set and reset the timer or counter 0 or 1 modes. Right, so here gate bit, timer 1 gating control bit, it is if it is 0, if this gate bit is 0, it is clear to enable timer 1 whenever the TR1 bit is set. Right, if it is set, if gate bit is 1, it is enable timer 1 only when the interrupt 1 pin is high and the TR1 bit is set. Right, I am talking about timer 1. Suppose if I talk about this time gate 0, then timer 0 gating control bit, if it is bit is 0, enable timer 0 whenever the TR0 bit is set. If this bit is 1, if this bit is 1, set to enable timer counter 0 only when the int 0 pin is high and the TR bit is high. Okay, when it is gate bit is 1, right, that you can see in the diagram also. When gate bit is 0, it will run only TR0 bit or TR1 bit. right? If this gate bit is 1 means definitely 1 bar. 1 bar means this bit is 0, but this here it must be 1, because whenever both are 1, then only it can run the timer or counter, right? Already this bit is 0, then definitely this bit will be must be 1. That is what we call the int 1. Okay, int 1 bit must be 1. So here these are the modes of operation, because mode bits are 2, m0 and m1. So 2-bit combination 2 square means 4. So 4 combinations it will generate: mode 0, mode 1, mode 2, and mode 3. You can see here mode 0, mode 1, mode 2, and mode 3. What is mode 0, mode 2, mode 3? That we will see. And this is one more register which is called as TCON register, and also known as a timer control register. And here we are having 8 bits, because this is also 8-bit register. And the first bit is called as the IT0. What is IT0? Interrupt 0 type control bit. Okay, we are having interrupts, 5 interrupts: int 0, int 1, tf0, tf1, ti by ri. So that int 0, how it can be controlled? So int 0 type control bit. If it is 0, if this bit is 0, then what happens? It select low level active for external int 0, right? If it is interrupt 0 edge flag, right? So this IE0 means it is used to operate again interrupt 0, but using edge of the signal. So cleared by it is cleared, or it is 0 by hardware when interrupt is processed if edge triggered pulse. Okay, set by hardware. Again, if it may be 1 by using hardware when external interrupt is detected on int 0 pin. Understand? So IT is maybe IT0 or INT0. Next. Right. See, it is cleared if it is hardware when interrupt is processed. If edge interrupt, see IT0. What is INT0? It's say 0 low level active for external interrupt 0. Next, what is IT1? Interrupt 1. What is IE1? Interrupt 1. So the first 4 bits, 0, 1, 2, 3, these 4 bits are related to our interrupt bits. This concept will be explained at the end of this presentation. Right, how do you on and off, or how to make this active and inactive these interrupts of INT0 and INT1. Next, TR0 and TR1. TR0 is nothing but timer 0 run control bit. Right, if this bit is 0, timer 0 will not be run. If this bit is 1, timer 0 will be timer 0 or counter 0 will be run. Next, if this TR1 stands for timer 1 control bit. Right, if this bit is 1, timer 1 or counter 1 will be run. If this bit is 0, it will not be run. It will be stopped. Timer 1 overflow flag. What is the timer 1 overflow flag? Right, cleared by hardware when the processor vectors to interrupt routine. Right, TF0, timer 0 overflow flag, cleared by hardware when processor vectors to interrupt routine, means when the timer is reached to the specific level of modes of operation, then it will be overflow. That condition is called as overflow. Then that overflow condition will helps us to reset to initial value of 0, 0, 0, 0 value, first value. Okay, so that is what we call the TF1 and TF0 overflow values. Right. See here, modes of operation M0 and M1. Now it is more visible. 0, 0, mode 0, 0, 1, mode 1, 1, 0, mode 2, 1, 1, mode 3. So in mode 0, right, in mode 0, it acts like a 13-bit timer. In mode 1, it acts like a 16-bit timer. In mode 2, it acts like a 8-bit auto reload mode. So this mode is very popular in cellular communication, baud generations, that we will see later. Right, so modes means when we have 4 modes, definitely there should be 4 different operations. In mode 0, 13-bit timer mode. In mode 1, 16-bit timer mode. In mode to 8-bit auto reload mode, and in mode 3 split timer mode. Okay, and these are the different modes of operation. Okay, 13-bit counter. So 13-bit means 13-bit means here 8 bits and here plus 5 bits. So total 32-bit, and remaining 3 bits of this lower order register becomes 000, and higher order register will be taken as 8 bits, and lower order only we are taking 5 bits. Okay. So oscillator frequency divided by 6 or 12, C by T bar 0 or C by T bar 1, T1 pin or T0 pin, and this is also one more control coming from the AND gate, and this goes to TF1 or TF0. This is called as overflow, TF1 or TF0. Right. So right now I want to explain with the help of one example of mode 0 operation. Now, as I told you, this mode 0 operation is having or acting like a 13-bit timer or counter. So TL1 is 5 bits and TH1 is 8 bits. Now, how to set this TF1 or when? In this example, the timer 1 is selected. In this case, every 32 events for the counter operations or 32 machine cycles for timer operation. Right. So the TH1 register. So the TH1 register will be incremented by 1 for every 32 machine cycles. When the TH1 is overflow, this is called timer 1 overflow from FF to 00. FF to 00 means in because TH1 is an 8-bit register. In the 8-bit register, the last value is called as FFH. Why FFH? Because it is nothing but one F equal to 4 ones, and I have two Fs. So 2 Fs means 8 ones. That is called as 8 bits. 200H means initial value. Then the TF1 of TCount register will be high, and it stops the timer or counter. So for an example, we can say that if the TH1 is holding F0H and it is in timer board, then TF1 will be high after, see, 10H into 32 equal to 512 mission cycles. This is what we call that how 32 events of this TL1 rescaling can be set by 32 pulses. Right. So this is also one more example. So 30 to 13 means D0 to D12. So D0 to D12. And here this is the lower load 8 bit of higher byte, and this is the lower byte. So the lower byte of 5 bits, and remaining 3 bits of lower byte is becoming 000. They are not considering, but they are taking as higher byte of D0 to D7. Right, as I shown, TL1 8 bits and TL1 is 5 bits and TH1 is 8 bits. That you can see here. This is THX and this is TLX. Right now, in the mode 0, how to generate this? How to generate a square wave? Suppose I want to explain how to generate a square wave using this mode 0 operation. Okay. So let's generate a square wave of 2 milliseconds period using microcontroller with timer 0 in mode 0 on P1.0 pin of port 1. Assume crystal oscillator frequency of 11.0592 megahertz. So here we know that 11.0592 megahertz we have mission cycle of 1.085 mission cycle. Hence required count to generate delay of 1 millisecond is count equal to 1 into 10 power minus 3. What is 10 power minus 3? Because we need 2 milliseconds of square wave. So here we will consider only for the half of the signal, right? We are consider the time period only for the half of the signal. So that's why here count, because this is the analog signal. So that I want to count in hexadecimal number. So 1 into 10 power minus 3 by crystal oscillator frequency 1 microsecond, 1.085 micro. Right, that is the required time period by, right, known crystal oscillator frequency will give some value of 921. Right, so this 921 value is equal 13-bit count means 2 power 13 equal to 8191. So if you subtract 8191 with the count value plus function machine cycles plus 1, then it gives you 7284 is equal to 0 into 1C74. What is function machine cycles? That we have seen that 13 machine cycles is nothing but 9 to 1. Okay, so here we are taking this as 7284, that is 1C74. So here 1C is the higher byte and 74 is the lower byte. So that we will write here 1C74. Out of that bits, we had considered only 13 bits and remaining lower 3 bits can be removed. Okay, so then TLX bits and THX will be substituted by these values of 1C74. And mode 1, so mode 1 is a 16-bit timer or timer mode. Here complete TLX register and THX register will be taken, and in this mode to generate delay of 8 bits of THX 8 bits and TLX 8 bits to form a total 16-bit. Here operation is same as the mode 0. Right, first we will find the count value, and that count value to hexadecimal value here is equal to 65,535 is the 2 power 16 value minus count value. How to count the count value? Here I have given count value is equal to 1 into 10 power minus 3 by oscillator frequency. That is same operation here. Mode 2 auto reload mode. Auto reload mode means here signal is coming from the crystal oscillator by 12, and the timer bit goes to AND gate, and it goes to TLX, and TLX will be overflow after FF. Why FF? Because TLX is the 8-bit register. Now through the software we will load some value of THX. Now this THX will be loaded by this TLX, and that value of THX will be taken by the TLX, and this timer will be run up to that predefined value of THX, and again will be overflow. And again one more value will be set, auto reload. Definitely it will be auto reload mode set, and again one more value be set by THX through the software, and TLX will be run to that particular value, and again it will be overflow. And right, this is called as auto reload mode. Right, now you see when the timer gets started, TH value gets automatically loaded into the TLX, and the TLX starts counting from that value. Right, after the value of TLX overflows from the 0FF to 00, the TFX flag gets set, and again value from the THX gets automatically loaded into the TLX register. So that's why it is called as the auto reload mode. And every time this TLX will be loaded from this THX, and this THX auto by this through software it will be loaded, and TLX will be loaded auto reload from this THX value which is setting by the software. That's why it is called as the auto reload mode. Right, so this will be used in the programming mostly in the serial communication baud rate generation. Right, so here you can see that what is the circuit diagram of 8-bit auto reload mode. Right, and here same, first we have to count the value by using that how to generating square wave of port 1.0 with 200 microseconds time period using the timer 1 in mode 2, and we will see use that Tesla's frequency. 200 microseconds means 100 microseconds for on time and 100 microseconds for off time. So that's why here we are taking only one peak time period is required, and count is equal to 100 into 100 micro means 10 power minus 6 by, right, crystal oscillator frequency is 1 microsecond is equal to 92, and here by substituting that value is equal to 255 minus 92 plus 1 is equal to 164 is equal to A4 in hexadecimal, 164 in decimal value, and this A4 is nothing but hexadecimal which is set by the TH1 in your auto reload mode. See, TH1. Suppose you want to set some other value, then definitely this time period will be set. Suppose if it is 400, then it will be 200 and 200. Then here 200 into 10 power minus 6 by 1.085 into 10 power minus 6 is equal to, right, 2 times means 198, right, sorry, 184, right? So 255 minus 184 plus 1 will give some hexadecimal value, and that will be set. So this operation will be internally performed through this software programming. Okay, so that is what we call the timer 2 operations, setting and resetting in auto reload mode. And this is the syntax how to set and reset the auto reload mode. In mode 3, right, in mode 3 of timer 0, the 8051 has 3 timers. One 8-bit timer by TH0, only it will use TH0. Another one 8-bit timer or counter by TL0. TH0 will be used as timer only. Or TL0 can be used as timer or counter. And it has one 16-bit timer or counter by timer 1. Right, in the, if the timer 0 is in mode 3 and the timer 1 is working on either 0, 1 or 2, then the gun control of the timer 1 is activated when the gate bit is low or int is high, right, as I have shown in the timer or counter register. So these are the mode 3 operations. Mode timer 0 increment input, right, and TL0 and set TF0. This is called as TL0 and this is called as TH0, or it may have both TR0 and TH0 can be combinedly operate as a 16-bit timer or counters. Right. Suppose when the timer 1 is working in mode 3, it simply holds the count but does not run. When timer 0 is in mode 3, the timer 1 is configured in one of the mode 0, 1 and so in this case, the timer 1 cannot interrupt the microcontroller when the TF1 is used by TH0 timer. The timer 1 is used as a only baud rate generator. Right. Now, what are the timers interrupts here? Timer 0 overflow, TF0 is called as timer 0 interrupt. And the timer 1 overflow is called TF1, that is called as the timer 1 interrupt. Okay, and these two interrupts are available at an address of 000B and TF1 is available at 001B. Easy to remember, right? 000B and 001B. These are the two address locations where timer 0 information and timer 1 information will be stored in the memory locations. Right, so I have explained the last presentation also. Right, interrupt means each timer handles one interrupt source, that is the timer overflow flag TF0 or TF1. So this flag is set every time an overflow occurs. Flags are cleared when entering to the timer interrupt routine. Interrupts are enabled by setting ETX bit in IE0 register. This assumes interrupts are globally enabled by setting the EA bit in the IE0 register, so that we will see what is IE and IP. Okay. Now, how to calculate delay in hexadecimal, that we have seen already. Calculation of timer 0 reload value needed to achieve timer delay of 20 milliseconds if the oscillator frequency is 11.0592 MHz. So delay value, to count the delay value in hexadecimal is equal to timer delay by the required timer delay by timer clock cycle duration, means oscillator frequency. So what is timer delay you want to run? It is 20 milliseconds. You want to generate a 20 millisecond cycle, 20 millisecond signal. So 20 into 10 power minus 3, milli means 10 power minus 3. It is divided by either 6 or 12, right? Usually sometimes they will take divided by 6 or divided by 12. In olden days they were divided by 6 because they have taken 6 pulses, but after that they have divided into 12, so they are taking it as 12 sometimes. So for time being they are taking as 6 by oscillator frequency is nothing but 11.0592 10 power minus 6. So that is equal to 36,864, but is rounded to nearest integer. Right. So timer value, reload value is equal to, right, how to find the timer reload value in hexadecimal? This value is in n-log and this value is in hexadecimal digital. That's why we need to do these calculations. Okay, how to calculate the delay value in hexadecimal? So 65,535 minus delay value is nothing but 36,864, which is equal to 6FFF. Okay, so timer 0 is loaded with TH0 and TL0. So this two for last two FF are lower bits of timer, and 6F is called as the higher bit. So TL0 and TH0. Okay, so this is one more example, and a TCON register. And TCON register already we have seen this TCON register is having lower 4 bits, lower nibble for interrupt controlling, and higher nibble for timer 0 and timer 1 control and overflow interrupt bits. Right, so, and these are the different interrupts of TF0 and TF1. Here you can see that TF0 and TF1. What is TF0? Timer 0 interrupt. What is TF1? Timer 1 interrupt. Okay, what is II0? External 0 interrupt. INT 0 interrupt. What is II1? External 1 interrupt. That is the what we have given in the TCON register. And TR stands for run control bit. Right? If this bit is 0, timer 1 for counter 1. If this bit is 0, timer is set by program to run 10. Timer 1 counter is on or off. If this bit is 0, off. If this bit is 1, start the running of your timer. TF means timer overflow. Right. If I have some instructions for timer 0 and for timer 1, right, that is set bit TR0 means right, run your timer 0. Clear TR0 means stop your timer 0. Set bit TF0 means stop overflow. Set bit TF0 means timer 0 overflow value. Clear TF0 means right, clear the TF0 means initial to 000. Like that we have some instructions here, right? And here I can see that how to write the program and how to generate this waveform, right? Move tmod comma hash 01, move tl0 comma hash f2, move th0 comma hash ff. Means timer 0 is 01 means what is the meaning of that? Here move TL0 comma hash 01 means here these two bits of your mode 0 is tmod. In the tmod, what is the operation of a tmod? Tmod is having lower nibble for timer 0 and higher nibble for timer 0. In the lower nibble of tmod, right, the last two bits for m1 and m0, that is 0001 means you are operating in mode 1. Mode 1 means 16-bit timer. So that's why here we are taking TL0 and TH1 both are in terms of 16-bit value. So complement P1.5, right, means port 1 fifth pin is connected to some external device, and that will be complement with the absolute call delay. What is absolute call delay? A call and L call are the two calls, right? So here A call is used to execute the with a 11-bit or 2k bytes of delay. So that will be for every 2k bytes of delay, it will be complements. That's why here we are generating 1 to 0 and 0 to 1. And these are all different programs to how to generate different waveforms. Right. So this is one more example of how to generate 1 kilohertz square wave. 1 kilohertz square wave means 1 millisecond. Right? So for that I am taking 1 millisecond can be 0.5 milli plus 0.5 milli. So the 0.5 milli for one waveform. So 0.5 milli is nothing but 500 microseconds for low time and 500 microseconds for high time. So suppose you are operating mode 1, so 16-bit timer delay longer than 56 microseconds. Mode 2 cannot be used. So 65,536 minus 500 is equal to 65,036. It will be written as FA0C. This program is very, very important for the examination point of view. Right. So see, the original program always start with ORG. ORG means initial address value. That is ORG 5800. Right. Move tmod. So here to design any timing pulses, to run any timing pulses circuit or any timing pulses generation requires T0, T1, Tmod and Tcon. Right? If you run these four or these three registers, then only one signal can come out as the output. So move Tmod comma right 0000001. Right. So here I am taking these two bits as 01. So we are taking as 16-bit timer 0 mode. Why? How can it's timer 0? Even though the first four bits for timer 0 and next four bits for timer 1, here also we are having 00, but I can say that timer 1 also can be run in mode 0. But how can say that timer 0 16-bit mode? Because here I am taking TH0 and TL0. TH0, TL0 means timer 0. Okay, so here in our operation we are all taking 0 only. TR0 means timer 0 run bit. TF0 means timer 0 overflow. TR0 means timer 0. TF0 means timer 0 overflow. See, now that's why I'm taking here 16-bit timer 0 mode. Right now I am taking 1 kilohertz square. 1 kilohertz means 1 millisecond. This 1 millisecond is analog. So how can you convert an analog signal digital? There is a procedure, right? Using this procedure, right, we can generate analog to digital, right? What is that? Right. So this is the procedure how to generate analog signal to digital signal. So this is the 20 millisecond is the analog signal, and this is the 20 millisecond equivalent of hexadecimal value. Okay, so that's why here we need to generate and we need to take that square wave also here. Right, so that's why here we are taking TH0 and TL0 with the help of hexadecimal values. So there is a procedure how to generate this FE066. Here also have given 16-bit timer means we subtract 65,536 minus a count value of 500, then it becomes FE0C. So that's why I'm filling higher byte with FE and lower byte with 0C. Right, now we have to set the timer 0 to run. After that, how much time it will run? Here we are taking a loop, a short loop. Wait, J and B jump on no bit of TF0. When this TF0 will be equal to 1, when the timer reaches the value of FE0C. Otherwise, the timer will be continuously run in 16-bit mode. Once it reaches the 16-bit mode of FE0C value, then what happens? Clear TR0, then timer will be cleared. Why? Because TF1 is, sorry, timer overflow is 1. When timer overflow is 1, timer 0 has to stop. Right, then clear TF0 and complement P1.0, then S jump loop. So this will be loop here, short jump loop. It will be continuously loop here. Okay, understand, this is the way of generating the square wave. Very, 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 very important for examination point of view. And this is the output. Here you can see that this is why was shown in the first slide itself how to generate the square wave. Right. Now I want to explain SCON, SBuffer or PCON registers. Right. This portion is called as the baud rate generation or serial communication. A part here how to transmit and receive data from IO to 8051 or 8051 to IO. Right, now here I was shown the uses of timers and counters. Right, what are the uses of timers and counters? Timers and counters are used to generate baud rate generator for serial communication. Now see this oscillator frequency of 11.0592, if it is divided by 12 megahertz, sorry 12, if a fixed value of 12, then it will get 921.6 kilohertz. If this 921.6 kilohertz is divided by 32, it generates 28,800, right? An even value. If this 28,000 is 800 is divided by either 3 or 6 or 12 or 24, it generates different baud rates: 9,600, 4,800, 2,400, 1,200. Right, what is this 9,600 for? Who has given these values? You and me should not be assumed these values. These values has given by ITU, International Telecom Unit, for generation of the symbols. Okay, so 9600. What is baud rate? Generation of symbols is called as the baud rate. Okay, that you can see here. I'll show you what is baud rate. Right, baud rate refers to the number of bits transmitted per second. It is very important to decide the number of bits that are transferred per second for proper communication between two devices. But if it is number of bits per second is called as a bit rate. If it is number of symbols means 2-bit combinations, 3-bit combinations, 4-bit combinations is nothing but baud rate generations. Okay? So that's why in this is serial communication, right? So to generate these baud rates, we are taking this circuit diagram how to communicate with the external world. Okay, and here there are two types of communication standards, de facto and de jure. This will be completely explained in the third unit. Once again, we will get all these things in the third unit because third unit is in terms of interfacing of communication. So that we will see there. So communication transfer can say that serial or parallel. So communication happens in terms of serial or parallel. Serial means bit by bit transmission. Parallel means bulk at a time you can transmit. Synchronous or asynchronous. Okay. In the serial data communication, what's need of serial data communication of over parallel? But transmitting data over long distance using parallel communication is impractical. That's why we have gone for serial data transfer communication. Okay. So in the serial communication, we have three types of mode: simplex mode, half duplex mode, and full duplex mode. Right. Simplex mode means only one-way communication, CPU to monitor. Right. Half duplex means only one at a time, either workstation 1 to workstation 2 or workstation 2 to workstation 1, or else in full duplex mode, right, two-way communication is possible at a time, right? Anyone can send the data to anyone. For example, telephone communication is the example of full duplex mode. Okay, and this will be explained in the third unit. Now here we are having asynchronous and synchronous communication, right? What is synchronous communication? First we will see. In the synchronous communication, right, the start and stop bits in each frame of asynchronous format represents wasted overhead bytes that reduces overall character rate. Right, that is, you can see this diagram. In the synchronous communication, the transmitter and receiver will start at a time, and receiver will receive data from the transmitter. Then only transmitter can send the one more data to one more receiver or the same receiver. Until the first transmitter data is transmitted to the receiver, right? Then there is no transmission happens at the transmitter level. So this synchronization will be done with the help of this clock signal, right? Whereas in the case of this asynchronous, right, the asynchronous formats are character oriented. In this type, the bits or characters or data word are sent at a constant rate, but characters can come at any rate asynchronously as long as they do not overlap. If the network is busy, suppose you take our telephone communication. If the network is busy, then you are sending your SMSs. When you are sending SMSs, the SMS is not received by the receiver at the same time of the transmitter sending. But after certain time period only the receiver is receiving, because the transmitter, when he is sending, the network may be busy, then the signals or the bits will be transmitted later, because the data is converted into in terms of packets or frames. Okay, here you can see that this is the packet or frame. This transmitter and receiver is also clock, but transmitter frequency and receiver frequency is different, right? And here synchronization is not possible, right? Receiver can receive data from anywhere, right, and the transmitters also can send the data to anywhere, and here paths are different, but the receiver will receive the data asynchronously at after some time period. That then how it will understand that this is belongs to transmitter 1 and this is belong to transmitter 2. So for that, what they're having start bit and stop bits with some indication. So start 1, start 2, start 3, like that. So start 1 may be transmitter 1, start 2 may be transmitter 3, and start 3 may be transmitter 3, like that. Or else, if one transmitter is transmitting 3 packets, here itself you can say that 3 packets are transmitting start with the help of start bit and stop bits, and these are the data bits. But whereas in the case of synchronous, here there is no start and stop bits. Here it has only single pulses, and the total data from bit 1 to bit n must be transmitted to receiver. So here you can see some of the differences between asynchronous and synchronous. Transmitters and receivers are not synchronized by clock, whereas transmits and receivers are synchronized by clock. Why? Clock generates 50% duty cycle, are there some timing pulses. Within the time pulses, the transmitter has to send the signal to receiver completely, whereas in the asynchronous, the data need not be transmitted with a defined time period. Right, bits of data are transmitted constant rate, but data bits are transmitted with the synchronization of clock. So character may be data may arrive at any rate or at character received at constant rate. So delay is more, but here delay is very less, right? So used in low speed transmission at about 20 kbps, but it is used in higher speed of communication. Why? Because here more data transmission is occurred, here less data transmission is occurred. So that's why here we are using, based on uses, it may be used asynchronous or synchronous mode of communication. Right, serial communication. So it is serial communication mainly depending upon 3 registers: SCON register, right? SCON register, PCON register, and buffer register, along with the TMOD and TCON registers. Okay, this TMOD and TCON registers will set the baud rates or baud rate or speed of operations. Okay, so what is S power, we will see later. As this is the SCON register, so this is the first bit and this is the 7th bit, or MSB bit. So RI stands for, right? So here you can see that SM0, SM1 and SM2 serial port mode bits. SM2 for, right, here we don't use this SM2. It enables the multi-processor communication feature in mode 2 and mode 3. In mode 2 or 3, if SM2 is set to 1, then RI will not be activated if the received 9th data bit RF0, and if SM2 equal to 1, then RI will not be activated if valid stop bit was not received. Okay, REN stands for receive enable, TB8 stands for, right, REN stands for the REN bit enables or disables reception. DB8 stands for 8th bit is in mode 2 and 3 during transmission. RB8 stands for 8th bit is received during mode 2 and 3. Right. TI stands for receive. TI and RI are the two interrupts in serial communications. SM0 and SM1 are the two modes of communications that we will see. Right. So SM0 and SM1, if they are 00, shift register operation for data transmission. 01, 8-bit UART communication with variable baud rate. 10, 9-bit UART communication with fixed baud rate. 11, 9-bit UART communication with variable baud rate. Okay, usually we will operate either mode 0, mode 1 and mode 2. So to summarize the modes, we have total of 4 modes. Out of these three modes, uh, three modes enables asynchronous communication, 1, 2 and 3, whereas mode 0 enables in synchronous shift register mode. Right, out of the three modes for asynchronous communication, one has a fixed baud rate of mode 2. So this is a fixed baud rate, and this is, these two are variable. Mode 1 and mode 3 are variable, whereas mode 2 is fixed baud rate. That's why they will be operate usually in mode 2 of serial communication modes. So two modes communicate in 9-bit. These two are 9-bit, and two modes in 8-bit. These two are in 8 bits. Mode 0 and mode 1 are in 8-bit. Right. See here, right, mode 0 only synchronous mode. Right, data transport on RXT and TXT pin of port 3, and clock is fixed at 1/12. Mode 1, mode 2 and mode 3 both are asynchronous mode, but 10 bits, right? Start bit, 8 data bits and 1 stop bit, so total 10 bits. So here you can see that It is an 8-bit UART. What is UART? Universal Asynchronous Reception and Transmission device. It helps to provide the transmission and reception bits. So here it is 8 bits, 9 bits means these are the representation of data, but completely in that modes. Here we are having 9-bit frame or a packet, and here we will have the 11-bit data or data frame or packet. So what is data frame or packet? One start bit, one stop bit, and 8 data bits. In two cases, we are having 8 data bits. Why? Because usually data is represented in terms of ASCII, right? But here in the 11 bits, we are having start bit, 8 data bits, 9 programmable 9th bit, and stop bit. Okay, so total 11 bits. Yeah, mode 3 is same as mode 2, but with programmable baud rate or variable baud rate. See, this is mode 0 operation. You can see that shift register mode, right? Transmitter to receiver or receiver to transmitter side, because it can be act as a transmitter come receiver is called transceiver circuit. Now, when you are sending data from transmitter to receiver, right? This means in this mode 0 operation, we use shift register means bit by bit it will shift the data, and when completely shifting the data, then only one more data can shift from left side to right side or right side to left side. That's why it is called as the shift register mode in mode 0. During this mode 0, the transfer of data occurs in synchronous fashion. What is synchronous fashion? Right, transmitter side to receiver side, complete data will be transmitted towards your receiver side. Then no second data will be transmitted from transmitter to receiver. Okay, so the transmitted and received of your pin diagram, TXT pin and RXT pin of your port 3, P3.1 and P3.0 is used to send and receive the synchronizing clock signal. So TXT pin for clock transmission and RXT pin for data transmission or data reception. Right, and during in this mode, the synchronized clock signal is the frequency of one machine cycle only. Right, just to emphasize that transmitted pins of function can be little misleading as it is used for sending the synchronizing clock signal. In this mode, data is transferred as it would be in a shift register bit by bit with a common synchronizing clock signal. Okay, see here, right? Mode 0 when data is transmitting, right? TARXT pin for RXT pin for data and TXT pin for clock. When 8051 is receives data, RXT pin for data and TXT pin for clock. See, both the cases, TXT pin for transmission of clock and RXT pin for either sending and receiving of data. So here see the arrow, this is outside, and here see the arrow, it is inside. So transmission and reception of the data. Right, so this is in mode 1. Right, in mode 1, here we are use either timer 1 or timer 0 for setting of the baud rates. Right, so this is the device, and TXT pin for transmission, and RXT pin for receiving, and TXT pin for sending outside. Okay, now and these are the different bauds, and here how to generate the baud I already have explained. Right. So what is S buffer? S buffer is nothing but serial data buffer. Right. This is available at the TXT pin and RXT pin. This is not only one S buffer. It is two S buffers here we are having, and this S buffer will help us, as the name indicates. This register is used to send or receive data via serial port. Any value returned to S buffer will be sent out the serial ports TXT pin. Any value which the 8051 receives via the serial ports RXT pin will be delivered to the user program via S buffer. So reception and transmitted through TXT pin and RXT pin, as I have shown in this diagrams. It will not be happen simply, right? It will be with the help of S buffer. Here S buffer will be available. Okay, so PCON, you know that this I was explaining the last presentation also. PCON stands for power control, but this how this PCON is related to serial communication. Last seventh bit is nothing but S mod bit. If this S mod bit is equal to 0, same data rate. If this S mod equal to 1, double data rate. Why? Because baud rate is equal to 2 power S mod by 32 into 1 by 12 into oscillator frequency by TH1 minus 255. This is the equation we have to take while calculating the baud rate generation. So that's why here 2 power S mod. S mod is equal to 2 power 0, 1. If S mod equal to 1, 2 power 1, 2. So data rate can be doubled. So in this way, to decide the data rate either double or normal, then we are register. Because there is no space in the S count register, that's why here that bit, because register has taken in the count register. And here ideal mode and power down mode during ideal mode, it will not send any clock signal to the during a clock value, because ideal mode means no operation takes place. So here power mode means sometimes our mobile phone or this laptop dim the means will uh, right? Yes. Why? Because when you are using to save the battery, then only JNB bit will be 1. Otherwise, it will transmitted from the transmitter side to receiver side. After that, we have to clear the TI to receive one more character. Okay, and this is how to receive the data. Right. So now move th1 comma hash minus 6. Move scon comma hash 56. Suppose if we substitute 50h in the scon register, then right here 8 bit RN enabled based upon this 50h value of binary value with the equivalent of hexadecimal, then it is equal to S1 register in like that 8-bit data value, one stop bit, and REN will be receiving will be enabled. So to enable the REN bit, then we have to take S1 as 50h. Now set bit to TR1. Right here jump on no bit RI. What is RI? Receive interrupt. Okay, so how to enable this receive interrupt? Right here, when this TR1 is start running, and when this data is started to received by the receiver completely, then this RI will be 1. Otherwise, this RI will be same. Then move A comma S buffer. See, in the previous program, it is move S buffer comma A. Now we are sending data to S buffer to from the S buffer. Right now we have received from the S buffer to outside. That is called received. That's why taking data from S buffer to A. Receive means 8051 to outside. So S buffer is available inside of the 8051. So 8051 నుంచి బయటికి తీస్తే that is what you call receiving, right? ఈ అక్యుములేటర్ నుంచి ఎస్ బఫర్ ఇన్సైడ్ లోపలికి ఇస్తే TR and NMI, whereas 8051 has total 6 interrupts. One is reset, the internal interrupts, and 2 external interrupts. Okay, here you can see that INT0, INT1, these two are called as external interrupts. You see here external interrupts. Timer 0, timer 1, and TI by RI are called as internal interrupts. Enable these TI by RI is not this register can be enabled all interrupt 0.7 means this is if I don't want to use any interrupt from this interrupt enabled register, then this bit must be 0. If I want to use any interrupt from this interrupt enabled register, then this bit must be 1. ES stands for serial communication enable. Right, ET1 stands for timer 1 is enabled. EX1 stands for external interrupt 1 is enabled. ET0 stands for external interrupt timer 0 is enabled. EX0 stands for INT0 is enabled. So when I have 5 interrupts totally, on what basis I have to transmit? Suppose if the signal is coming from 2 or 3, either ES, ET1 and EX0, first what I have to transmit? So I have transmit based upon this interrupt priority. By giving some priority, I can transmit. So that's why here PS stands for serial communication priority. PT1 stands for timer 1 overflow priority. PX1 stands for int1 priority. PT0 stands for timer 0 overflow priority. PX0 stands for int0 priority. So priority will be given here. Right, and these priority bits are here 0 to 4 bits and remaining bits are unused. But how to set this priority here? So that's why here we are having priority table. This table is also called as interrupt vector table of 8051. We are also having interrupt vector table in 8086, and in 8051 also this table is also called as interrupt vector table. So here priority goes to highest to lowest. This is the highest priority into 0, and this is the lowest priority. Why this into 0 or into 1 are having the highest priority here compared to timer 0 and timer 1 are serial communication? Means suppose we are having the laptop, right? We are watching movie and your friend came and connected pen drive, right? And what happens? Right? Will you see the movie continuously, or will you stop the, or will you put it in pause button? Definitely we'll put this movie in pause button, and you'll say that yeah, please you can use it for 5 minutes later I'll watch the movie. Why you are giving that? Because this pin drive is connected externally. When the external signal is coming, then it has the highest priority. That's what is called as highest priority into 0 and into 1. Next, I need at least one timer to start operations. That's why here next priority goes to at least timer 0, because timer 0 is the first timer. Next interrupt is into 1. Suppose if signal is coming from one more device, then it is next priority goes to into 1. When it is next priority is distributed to next interrupt 1, then I need one more timer. So next priority goes to timer interrupt 1. Next to serial communication. The serial communication, when reception is happening, I need RI interrupt. When receipt transmission is happening, I need TI interrupt. So I need these two interrupts here. Okay, thank you very much for your kind cooperation. Any doubts, please ask me. Thank you.